Now we're live. Well, I was saying hello for nothing. So, hello, beautiful people. Here we have Mr. Matt, the Angry Butnik. I will be posting his how you say it, the comments, and his channel is on screen. Please go subscribe to him. How are you, Matt?
Marvelous, Paula. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now if you want to show me something that you have on screen, all you have to do is like share, and then I put it in there, and I
Oh,
share it.
really?
Yeah, if you click share, you know where you
Uh,
have the little plus sign?
present. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Let
And
me.
when you share it, then I'll share the screen if you want to show something too that you aren't talking about.
Good idea. That. So, if we think of a good topic that I've seen on the BBC,
Mm.
well, I say good, absolute mindless drivel that I see on the BBC, I can share it with you. Oh, nice one. Let's have a look. Does that work?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, there
There
you
you
go.
go.
Oh, nice one. All right, I'll have to get the BBC up, and then we can share some inane drivel from the BBC.
Oh,
What's going on in
absolutely.
your part of the world this week? Anything interesting to talk
It's like
about?
raining like crazy. I was telling you earlier, it's raining like crazy. And then I told you I have like a few hurricanes to look forward to. We just got the email from the US Embassy saying you have 15 to 17 hurricanes and minor hurricanes and 5 to 7 major hurricanes. So, yay.
That's one good thing about living in England. The weather's kind of terrible, but it's always just temperate. Like, it's never too hot and it's never too cold. It's Goldilocks zone in England. It's a little bit damp, but it's
I
not as
loved
cold
it.
as the
I
coldest
loved
parts of the
England. I
world.
loved England. I loved England. I loved living there.
Yeah.
You know which country really surprised me that I would love? Oh, thank you, Mary. Thanks so very much. Hola, Claudia. Hola, Mary. Like Claudia's in the Navy. Claudia Salas. But I was gonna say, Brussels, Belgium. I love that country. I loved living there. I lived there for 2 years. I
Hmm.
have never lived in a city that partied so much.
Yeah, well, you know why that is. Everybody knows what the Belgians are like. I mean, they are lazy bastards, the Belgians. You can't get them to do any work. They've got like the worst attitudes from the French. And they set up the EU Parliament there. So I know a bloke who actually he works for them as like in a clerical role. And he just does nothing. He's always bragging about it, saying, like, I get paid a lot of money and I just don't do any work. He's just out on the piss in Brussels all the time. It's just a gravy train, isn't it? The EU Parliament. The
Well,
amount of
I'll
money
tell
we
you
give
what
them.
it is. I'll tell you what it is. It's because at least it was my experience because that's basically the government city. So it's called like a revolving door. People come there for 2 years. There are so many people who end up getting divorced. They come, the husband comes or their wife comes, but there's so many new people. Every Wednesday we used to go to the farmers market, get drunk. There were concerts everywhere. So you have like a revolving door that they call it. So everybody there, we were supposed to be working, but we were there to actually have a good time. The wine was amazing. The food, I mean, and I loved it because the only thing I didn't like about living in London was if you wanted to get from the north to the south of the city, I mean, you're better off taking the two because driving is insane, and it's just, but on Belgium, everything is literally 5 minutes away. That is such a small city, and I
Yeah, it's
love it.
tiny. And that's why Farage there got in trouble, didn't he? Because he said Belgium's basically a non-country. Because it's not a real country, Belgium, is it? Like, I mean, it's just they don't know what they are. They don't know whether they're French, Dutch. They all speak. There's more than one language. It's a mad place.
Well, yeah,
But I agree, it is
yeah,
nice.
what surprised one of the things that really surprised me, Matt, and it's that I thought, if you speak English, you can get around everywhere. Not in Belgium. If you speak Spanish, because they were under a lot of Spanish rule, but if you go to Belgium, it's divided in Flemish and French, right? And
Yeah.
if you end up walking on the Flemish side and you speak French, nobody will serve you. And it's the other, yeah, I know. And then the other one, it's the same on the other. Likewise, they really don't like each other. But I would come into restaurants because I didn't know which. I can speak French, but I didn't know which side the street was on it when I first started coming. After a while, you get to know. And then I would speak English, nobody would. And then I said Espanol. I mean, pretty much a lot of Spanish there, not English. I really love Belgium. I
Yeah,
really
no,
love
it is
that.
nice. As I said, I mean, I'm not going to sound like a broken record or a miserable bastard, but it is because we launder money through Brussels.
Probably,
so,
I'm sure it
so
is.
as a result, it's very nice. It's like basically it's probably the most middle class, affluent country in the world because it's
Yeah, it
just
is. It
middle
is. It
class
is.
arseholes and
Yeah,
everyone's
it
money
is.
goes through there.
Yeah, it is. My son went to the International School of Brussels, which is a very posh school, right?
Yeah.
Even I remember when I first went to that school, to drop my son off, I was like, "Am I in the right place?" Like, 'cause I was like, it looks like a castle, and then they have
Yeah.
these things, and you have these things. It's in the middle of a forest, and then you have these things, these needles, that come up and down. You had like proper royalty there. I mean, you had like Bentleys, like Rolls Royce, and they would come with security. And I was like, and here I come in my little car, it's like I was looking around and like, but yeah, that's a school. So
I will say though, when were you there? How long ago were you living in Brussels?
I lived there from 2008 to 2010.
Yeah, well, don't forget as well, a lot changes in this globalist hellscape we've
Yeah,
created
yeah,
because
yeah,
I bet you it looks a lot different now. I
yeah.
mean, in 2016, there was the big bombings there, right? And people don't even
Yeah,
remember this stuff.
yeah,
Unless
yeah,
you're a political nerd like we are, people don't even remember this stuff. And it's like there's so many of us now, life is cheap, and the media keep it that way. Life is
yeah,
cheap. It's almost worthless. Now we're in the 8 billion souls. The amount of people I've argued with about the decline of our lifestyle in Europe, and when you talk about it, they'll say, "Oh, in what way?" And then you'll say something like, "Where are you from?" And they'll say, "Oh, I'm from Brussels." And I'm like, "Well, Brussels bombing," and they don't even remember it. And I was like, there was about 35 people murdered that day, and there was about 400 critically injured by shrapnel, but broken
yeah.
bones, explosions, whose lives will never be the same. And you don't even remember it happened. It wasn't even 10 years ago. It
Yeah.
wasn't even 10 years. So Brussels is getting enriched just the way everywhere else is getting enriched. I bet you
Yeah.
it's nowhere near as nice as it was when you lived
Probably, I used to love it there. I used to
there.
party a lot. I used to go, like it was everywhere. But then again, I hung around mostly with diplomats and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
you are right. It's a very nice city, at least from what I remember. But I would like to go there back because if there was a place that I would love to live, it would be that. It will be Brussels. If I were to live in Europe, I
Mm.
think it'd be Brussels because the only reason why I love Spain, but the problem with Spain, it's the language. They don't speak two languages, and I remember I went to see Henrik, it was about the time when, what was it called? Toy Story was coming out.
Oh,
And
crikey, that was a while ago, that though.
yeah, 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 yeah. And
What
then
was that then? Toy Story would have been 2003 or something, was it? Or
no,
longer?
no, no,
Longer?
no, no, no. It was
90s?
2008, 2010, between those years, a couple of those years. And then it was the second or third, there's been like a few. And then
Mm.
And then we went there, and when we got to this cinema, they don't do subtitles, they do dubbed. And
Oh,
their
yeah.
Spanish, I don't understand their Spanish. It's like when I go to restaurants to eat in a restaurant, they name the food different things than I know. And one time I thought I was ordering shrimp, and it was some sort of head of something. I don't know. That was the last time I did that. So it's the scary thing because I really don't understand their Spanish very well.
You know
So
what you've made me think of there? I am aware of that because here in California, a lot of them speak Spanish. Obviously, the most of them are Mexican and Central American heritage. And I try and speak Spanish, like pick the lingo up while I'm here. And I goes up to the bar when I was with my wife in a fucking bar, and I said, I was just like, "Hola, dos cerveza, por favor." And she said, and then followed it with a big sentence. And then
yeah.
I was like, what? And my wife said, oh, she thinks you're Spanish. Because the Spanish speak very different Spanish than the Mexicans do. And she said, oh, she thinks she's Spanish. And I was like, ha ha ha. No, I was like, English.
Inglés, 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 yeah.
English. They were like, because yeah, with my bad pronounced high school Spanish from
My
England,
God.
the woman thought I was actually Spanish. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel when you're in California? Do they understand your English, or do you have to
um,
sit down?
it definitely takes people a few days to get their ears in, but once they do, they're fine. But even like all my employees, like the first couple of days, they were constantly going, "What?" And after a bit of time, they get their ears in, and it's fine. But definitely takes them a little bit of time. I've got a broad northern accent, and My
I
missus
think
said I
you
speak
sound
fast
very
as
well.
well.
You speak very well. You know, I have a friend. She's she is actually proper Northern, and she went like we were talking one time, and her husband was translator for me. He's also British, right? And he goes, "Listen, you know," she's like, "Did you see the whale?" And I'm like, "I thought, is that a well? You know, like you know when you have a well." And it's like, no, and Paul, my friend goes, WHALE, the whale. You know, and it's like,
Yeah.
so we're looking.
Well, well,
Yeah, no, her accent was really, really tough. I mean, yeah, but no,
well.
you
I
said
do
it.
think. I do think from YouTubing as well. I've got used to being a lot more like taking a bit more time over my words and stuff. My accent's a lot stronger when I'm just sat in the bar with my mates back home.
And when you've had a
I have
few.
noticed. Oh, yeah, yeah. Then I'm completely, totally illiterate when I've had 8 pints.
So what are we watching here? Farage defends Ukraine war. Did he
Oh
really?
yeah. So have you?
Did he really?
This is
No.
what I wanted to talk to you about. Have you noticed? Like the last week has been complete lunacy. Like it's almost boring me the amount they've talked about it. It's just been an endless amount of smears for like a week about Farage because he's actually looking like he might get in Parliament in the constituency he's standing in. So they're just endlessly attacking him, and the guy has been in politics for 30 years. He's the most boring, middle of the road guy ever. And unlike Trump, he's got 25 years of history to look back at. And yet, for the last week, they're going, oh my God, he's basically a fascist. And I was like, it really offends me because it's like, does the English language mean nothing to these people? Like, there's a dictionary definition for a fascist. They murder people. Mussolini was a fascist.
Yeah.
It's like this guy's been in politics for 30 years. He's never said anything even remotely salty. And they're all like, oh my God, he's a fascist. I was like, that cheapens the deaths of anybody who was ever shot in the
Yeah,
head and
yeah,
buried in the middle of the
yeah,
desert by a
yeah.
fascist dictator. Like,
So is he back in the Ukraine war though?
no, so essentially what he did was he properly elucidated the accurate historical events that led to the Ukraine war. And it
Mm,
was 100% factually accurate. And it has been stated thousands of times by thousands of academics in the last 3 years saying, yes, of course, Putin should not have invaded Ukraine. And it's a shocking decision. But when we unified Germany, the American State Department and the American president promised the Russians, we were close to full-scale nuclear war with the Russians
yeah,
at one point,
yeah, I
and
remember
they
that.
and they promised them, okay, 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 if we unify Germany, we will not push the borders east. We won't do it. You've and he said the Russian premier at the time, like Gorbachev and Yeltsin, and the reasonable Russians knew that it was going to cause them a massive headache, but they said, in the aims of peace, we will allow the intervention for the United States and the Westerners. We will allow the reunification of Germany and the westernization of sort of Eastern Europe. But please just promise us you will not move arms and armaments and borders to the east because we can't allow it to happen. And the reason it can't allow it to happen is because the Russians have only got one warm water port, and it's in Crimea, the area now known as Crimea, which is it's as strategically as important as it can possibly be. There's no other alternative for them. It's the only warm water port they have. They can't just, the North Sea is not accessible all year round. They need access to that region, and that's why they took Crimea, because we were pushing the borders eastward. And all Farage said was, it takes two to tango. Of course, Putin's out of order, and I'm not saying I like the guy, but you must understand that in the last 25 years, the EU and NATO have done a load of sabre rattling, and there has been aggression on our part, and we did take part in a coup, and we did install a Western-friendly government in Ukraine. We've done loads of dodgy stuff, and it's all historically verifiable. And journalists like Peter Hitchens or famous writers from the State Department have talked about this for years, and everyone's aware of it. But because it's now a political game, they're all like, "Oh my God, Farage wants to perform oral sex on Vladimir Putin." And I just honestly, I find it so like it's offensively
Oh,
stupid.
okay, I got it. This was misleading. I thought he defended Ukraine. They're saying that he defends Putin. Is that it?
Yeah, they're basically saying that he's a
Oh, okay. I
the
was confused because I know that he's anti-Ukraine. So I
they're
was confused.
literally calling him a Russian shill. Like they're going, oh, they're making out as
Oh,
if Farage literally works for Putin. Like the guy's been in English politics for 30 years. They're making out as if he
I was
actually works for
confused.
the
I thought, oh my
Kremlin.
God, he's gone to the dark side. I was confused. So, because it's very misleading, that shit, that headline.
Very, very misleading. And it said, look, he has never been an apologist or supporter of Putin. But if you poke the bear with a big stick, don't be surprised if it responds. Like there's no part of this is not factually accurate. And now they're all jumping on the bandwagon because they want to rubbish him. And I just find it childish. I just find it childish. Like,
Absolutely. Now I get it. Now I feel because I thought he'd gone to the dark side. You know that lady? What's the name of that lady that I've shown sometimes on TikTok? That she's Irish and she's in the EU, and she says, and she's right. They have put forth at least 3 or 4 chances to end the war, but the
yeah, they were
problem
going to
is that
end it. Yeah,
yeah, and the
they
US
were.
doesn't want to back. It's the
I
US
know.
that doesn't want to back down
I know. I
because
know.
they want to keep it going because they want their, I don't know what it is. Well, we have Joe Biden. This is not trashing Joe Biden or anything, but we now know that he has business in Ukraine.
Of course. Why was his son working for an energy company out there? It's like, think of this. And this is what I'm saying about why I find it offensively. Like, if you're going to lie to me, I don't mind as long as it's a relatively sensible lie. But if you're just going to, the phrase we use back home is piss in my face and tell me it's raining. Like, it's offensive. If you lie to me now and it's like, I don't know straight away that it's a lie, it's fine. It's just a white lie. Like if you say, oh yeah, the dog's in the kitchen.
Oh yeah,
But
I
if you
am.
said to me the dog's in the kitchen and the dog is behind you on the bed sniffing its
Yeah.
ass, it's offensive because it's like when you lie to someone that brazenly, what you're basically saying is you're far too stupid to even think about this too much. And that's why it really pisses me off because it's like anyone over the age of 10 knows that there's a historical reason for the war. They know about the Cold War. They know about the changes in the 80s and the 90s and the noughties. They know about the installation of a Western friendly government. No one's saying we love Putin and we think it's brilliant that he invaded Ukraine.
But
All we're saying
he
is
has right to do that.
there's
What he did,
reasons for it.
he's defending. It reminds me of the biopics on Cuba because the US didn't want the Russians to have
Exactly.
because it was too close to home. So they didn't want them to have that. And and remember how they've tried to invade Cuba so many times and stuff because they don't want their enemies, so close to home, having a complete base camp. Can you
Of
imagine if
course.
China? Can you imagine if China settled a camp in Tijuana? That would be
Exactly.
the end of it. Like you will
Exactly.
see the United States going to war with China. They won't like that.
And you get it because you're basically anyone on the wrong side of 30 understands it because you have a bit of maturity and you learn about historical events in high school and you remember them. And when the media, the MSM and the globalist psychopaths start making shit up, you know you're being lied to. But all you have to do is all you need is a modicum of common sense and like a high school education. Like, because that is a very apt comment because it's the exact same thing. The reason it massively kicked off with the Cuban Missile Crisis was because the Russians moved a load of nuclear weapons to Cuba and stuck them up. And then the American State Department was looking at the satellite images and they were like, holy shit, the Russians have put missiles in Cuba. And that means that they're within 10 minutes of being able to nuke Florida.
Yeah.
So it almost caused World War III. And we're saber rattling, going, oh, we'll just park a load of American missiles in eastern Ukraine. And you don't think that's going to wind the Russians up? The Russians would well be within the rights to just go, oh, okay then. You're going to stick a load of missiles in Ukraine. We're going to put 20 nuclear missiles in Scotland. And we're going to line them up in Cuba again. And we're going to line them up in Mexico. And you guys don't mind, do you? You don't mind because you don't think we'll mind if you put them in Ukraine.
Yeah. And you know what's the
That's all it
problem with
is.
that, Matt? You know what the problem with that is? Because Putin is such a nasty person or such a bad guy. He's a dictator pretty much in his own country that you don't want to admit he's right on this one. Because if by admitting, I think that people feel uncomfortable admitting that he's right on this one, because it makes him think that they're, oh, you're admitting that he's an okay person, but it's not,
I
you know.
know, but this is why I find it offensive, because it's childish. Like, we can agree on loads of things, and then if we disagree on one thing, we don't go, oh god, therefore we hate each other now.
Oh,
Like, grown
that's a
ups,
natural thing. That's a natural thing in this community. I've
you
seen.
know what I'm saying? Grown ups know this, and it's like, why that? It's ludicrous. It's like saying Napoleon was a good general, and you say that, therefore you were pro Napoleon. And it's only with these modern political woke lunatics that this thing is a thing. For example, if you say something, they did it with, I don't want to keep, everyone name drops Adolf, so I hate even saying his surname, but it's a good example. If a historian says, oh yeah, Rommel was a fantastic general, nobody goes, oh my God, that means you wanted the Germans to conquer England. But we're in this infantile era where you go, Putin's bad because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Oh yeah, but he's kind of got a point here. Oh my God, you love Putin. It's like, what, are we children? Are we children? Can we not have
Yeah,
an adult
yeah, and
conversation about
and
historical events?
it really brings it home, because I'm a mom, and how many tens of thousands of kids have died because of this guy in Ukraine, and it is
Yeah,
just my humble opinion. I think it's a crook.
yeah,
Absolutely think he's a crook. This guy is a crook. And his wife buying Hermes bags with all the
yeah.
donation money. Like, have you ever seen? I can tell you something, Matt. You and I can agree, guys. By the way, if you know this, I've witnessed 3 wars myself. Like, I can tell you that when you're in the middle of a war, your president doesn't have time to go to the Emmys or the Grammys.
No.
I can tell you that. You don't have time for that. You don't have time to go and do the rounds and do an international tour of goodwill, because you're in your country. You're fighting a war, you know? So I don't understand this popularity thing for me. And given what this lady, I'm trying to remember her name, she says that tens of thousands of young men and women have died because of the refusal from, and this is the United States mostly that's egging this on, of
Massively.
literally settling this, because the whole point was, for the only thing that Putin wants is for them to withdraw. That's it. Get the hell out of there and go back to the original deal that we have. I have respected my end of the bargain. You have to respect yours. You know, you have
Yeah.
to honor yours.
If we
But
literally just went back to 2012, there'd be no war. And
they,
this is the other point I'm making at, right? Ultimately, whenever you're talking about war, it becomes historical. It's a historical thing. If we're all right talking about the pros and cons of the Vietnam War, or the World War II, or the Bay of Pigs, or anything else, we're all right talking about the pros and cons of this one. It's just a historical event. And the fact of the matter is, you're willing to fight for as long as you feel as if you've got a military man calls it the will to fight. The most
yeah,
important thing in winning a war is the will to fight. And the Vietnamese beat the Americans in Vietnam, despite the fact, not a lot of people who aren't military history buffs know this, the Americans didn't lose a single major battle in the entirety of the Vietnam War. Every single major battle, the Americans won it. The Americans lost 66,000 men and they killed 2 million Vietnamese, but they still lost because they didn't have the will to fight. Because the Americans were like, what do we really care about this? Whereas the Vietnamese had the will to fight. They were like, we'll fight to the last man. And the point I keep making about Russia is, you've got to be mature and adult about it and say to yourself, do we have the will to fight for Eastern Ukraine? It's a complex historical event. It's something that we have inadvertently helped cause with our decisions from the last 10 years. And the vast majority of Americans and Europeans are not willing to feed their own children into the meat grinder for something they don't feel like it's close to home. You have to have the will to fight, and we don't have it. If Putin invaded England and Scotland, we'd have the will to fight. We would say, I'm willing to put my children into this fight because we've been wronged so badly. But this complex miasma in Eastern Ukraine, nobody in the West has the will to fight.
no.
We're all like, you have to spell it out. Are you willing to see your children die? to make this point against Vladimir Putin. And I'm not saying he's in the right, but what I am saying is we definitely lack the will to fight there. We feel a little bit strongly about it. Yeah, he shouldn't have done it, but we don't have the will to fight. And if you don't have the will to fight, you go to the negotiating table. And we should
Yeah,
be at
but
the table and letting.
especially when they are in the wrong. Especially, I mean, there is no way they can try to gaslight the hell out of us, whatever it is. But I mean, if the problem is that they're counting that people don't know the history of things, which
Yeah, exactly.
people don't,
Yeah.
and for example, it's like, again, like for example, there was an agreement. I'm gonna leave everybody alone. Just don't go here. That's it.
That's all.
Don't
And
go
if we
here. That
went
was it.
and if we went back to 2013, there would be no war.
Yeah.
But the real problem is, and I think this is what's caused all of the chaos in the world, Brexit, Trump, Farage, now everything. The real problem is, just like all the clever people like Orwell and Aldous Huxley and all of those wrote about, the technocrats now are using modern technology, and it's given them an arrogance, a massive arrogance. It's made them think, as long as we control Silicon Valley and the printed page and the mainstream media, we can just lie constantly. So therefore, we can make the public do whatever we want them to do. And unfortunately, the public, as always, are being stubborn and pushing back. And that's why the likes of Trudeau did that despicable,
Trudeau.
highly illegal, immoral, disgusting
You mean
display.
Fidel Castro's son?
Yeah, Castro Jr. But that display in Canada where they were stealing old ladies' bank accounts and locking up truck drivers for no reason, they would never have tried that 50 years ago, but now they think as long as we control the MSM and Silicon Valley and the radio and the TV networks, we can get away with whatever we want. And that's why we're at war now. And that's why they refuse to enter into a peace deal, because they think we can have it all. We can have it all, and we'll keep feeding hundreds of thousands of lives into the meat grinder. Not their kids, but everybody else's kids. Because we'll just lie to them constantly, and the mainstream media in Silicon Valley will do as they're told, so the public will support it. And they're finding out that we aren't that stupid. Yeah, they do control the mainstream media and Silicon Valley and the radio waves.
Yeah.
But because of independent people like you and me and everybody else who tries their best to get out of there on Rumble and YouTube and everywhere else, the tide's turning. They can't just lie. And I do think it's working in the main, but I bet you 40, 50% of the public now are like, go to the table. Go to the table. We are meddling in an area we shouldn't be meddling. And it's not worth the death.
Yeah, but never mind the death. One person, one soldier, or one young man who dies because now he's forcibly, is that how you say, forcibly recruiting
Forcefully.
young men.
Yeah. Forcibly recruiting.
Forcibly recruiting young men. So any life lost like that is already too much. Never mind the money. You can always make the money, which is, and still wrong, because the United States has such massive problems right now with homelessness, with their own veterans, with everything. They're creating more veterans,
Yeah.
So, but it's to me, that is insane. And I think Zelensky is getting paid some money. This is just my thoughts. He's making a lot of money, I think, of that. But it's insane. Claire Daly, that's the lady that I was thinking about, Claire Daly.
Well, do you know the figures, Paula? Because I was astounded. This is what I'm saying. You have to be mature and stark and face the mirror and say, this is what's resulting from our policies. Do you know the actual numbers for the deaths and wounded in the Russian-Ukraine war so far?
No.
And it's only been a few years. They reckon, best estimate, the Russians and the Ukrainians combined have lost 400,000 dead.
Wow.
So, like, literally dwarfs the casualties from the Vietnam War, the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War combined, the Westerners. Literally,
nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about this. Isn't it insane?
These are lives. But because, everyone talks about one death's a tragedy, millions a statistic. It's just statistics to the normies, the sheeple. They don't care. And people like you and I who've got empathy and actually read, these are lives. There's 400,000 plus young men in the prime of their lives are now dead and buried.
Yeah.
And for what? For this game, this American-led NATO game, which is to line the pockets of our politicians, because ultimately that's what it's about. Why was Hunter Biden on the fucking board of Burisma in Ukraine. It's naked corruption. And Lockheed and Raytheon and Boeing give millions of dollars to all these politicians so they can go shopping in the Gucci shop with the wives. And the result of it is 500,000 dead young people and another 500,000 wounded or critically injured. So 1,000,000 people's lives are wrecked or over. And it's a game with them all. And there they are laughing away. And that's why I was laughing earlier, not at the dead. I was laughing at that meme. These three men have ruined.
I just thought it was hilarious. I really thought it was funny. I mean,
It's terrible, though, isn't it? The human cost, the death and destruction for money.
Put some humor into this, really.
You do. Well, if you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Yeah, nah, for reals. I mean, if I were one of those parents, knock on wood, I wouldn't be laughing at, even if this meme is funny, but still.
I just think it's awful, and they've managed to condition the general public so they just don't care that much, and they're just like, I've got more important things to do. I'm watching Netflix. It's like, yeah, but there's 1,000,000 people dead or critically injured. Like, you don't care about that. Another really irritating thing about the world we live in is just the rank hypocrisy. Like, the people who call everyone, basically, they are exactly what they accuse you of. The people who are calling everyone fascists are fascists. And the people who call themselves tolerant are the most intolerant people in the world. Like, they call themselves good people. They say things like, oh, I'm on the right side of history. And I'm sorry to hear that, Janet Jackson, but this is what I'm talking about. I went to war 5 times. I've seen the human cost of it. So it touches me. And when I read that there's 400,000 dead young men, I say, get to the table and give Putin some concessions, because if you're not willing to give him concessions, then you keep fighting. And then you get another 400,000 dead people. And as I said, if you're talking about something like the Holocaust and you know that they're murdering children, then we're willing to fight for it. But this here is just a little territorial dispute because the Russians want to keep a warm water port so they're not completely encircled and they've got no fighting chance. We're not talking about stopping babies being fed into gas chambers. And that's the difference. So get to the table and give him what he wants. Negotiate with him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's dead kids, hundreds of thousands.
Because he's ready to negotiate. He's been ready to come to the table.
He's been ready to negotiate since a month after it started because he just wants to go back to 2013. And we're making out as if this is some big moral crusade because we're giving money to politicians.
And you know what, Matt? This is actually a very good comment.
Yeah, they can't lose. Well, as I said, it would be like the equivalent of 1,000 nuclear missiles getting parked on the border with Mexico. The Americans wouldn't stand for it. So you can't expect the Russians to stand for it. And I feel like we should change the subject because I'm ranting. But to sum up, that's what I'm talking about. It's the will to fight. And when the Gestapo and when the Nazis were putting babies in gas chambers, we had the will to fight because we knew. We were like, I'm willing to sacrifice my children for this fight, because they're butchering on an industrial scale innocent women and children. But this is just a territorial dispute to give money to American arms companies and NATO and American politicians.
Exactly, just these bloody companies that are getting richer and richer and literally at the expense of young lives, you know.
That 400,000 dead statistic should be on the front page of every newspaper. And I'll tell you what, I bet you most people don't even know. If you said, how many people have died in the Russia-Ukraine war, I bet you your average normie will be like 10,000.
Not even. And, you know, haven't we become like kind of desensitized to these kinds of things? People are, or do you think that people don't, I think people have become selfish, that if it doesn't affect you, you know, you don't.
You just don't care.
No, exactly.
No,
you know, it's terrible. It is terrible. And I'm going to show you something, because I know this is very vain and very stupid. And it goes kind of a little bit kind of the royal. But the reason for me why this is important, Matt, is how can we trust the press when they manipulate it? If they manipulate this, which is one of the most stupid things. I'm going to show you a couple of footages. It has to do with Meghan Markle. But the reason why it blew me away, Matt, is because then you have to question everything on that they put out. They really have to question everything, because this is supposed to be like every major news in the world put out the footage I'm going to show you. And then I'm going to show you the real footage. Okay. And I mean, and the reason that I'm not Meghan Markle, no, it's just that I started looking at other footages of other stuff. And I'm like, and then I found other clips that were not the same footage that they put live. And I'm like, so and these are serious outlets that are putting these things out. Let me show it to you. No, that's not it. No, that's not, that's them. Let's see. This one here. Let me, oh no, that's not the one that, let me show you. Let me show you the other because I have to find it now. I'm so stupid. I thought I had it. But what I want to show you, let me see if I can find it because I want to find, this is actually quite interesting for me. I was like, wait a minute, that can't be right, can it? You know, and I'm like, I know that that wasn't what I saw. Okay, here we go. I'm going to show you this. This is the one. This is like proper news. I kid you not. Okay. This is daily. I'm playing it from Daily Record, but it's just because if I play from BBC, the copyright strike, right, strike my ass, you know. So
You know the BBC.
yeah. So here, this is something very stupid. Okay. This is Meghan Markle and Harry when they visited Morocco, right? They're all making a big deal that she was told not to walk on the red carpet, right? Because Harry, when they got out of the car, Harry was supposed to inspect the military. And you know that whenever this happens, the wife or the husband, for example, Prince Philip, had to go to the stand and wait for the Queen to inspect the militaries whenever they went on tour, right? You didn't see Prince Philip walking around behind the Queen or trying to get on her carpet. You don't see that with Princess Catherine or even with Charles, right? The ladies are appointed somewhere else. But I want you to look at this thing, right? And the way they do it, look at this. The way they do it, Matt, is so flawlessly. Look, okay, Harry gets out. Look at this. Then you see this guy right here, right? And you see Meghan come here. And you think, look at this. This is very flawless, right? And you see that she's pointed not to walk there, right? Okay, I'm going to show you what really happened. But I mean, I am just blown away by this because I'm going, if they can do this with something that stupid, what else are they doing it with? Let me see. It's right here. This is the real footage, Matt. Okay, Harry gets out of the car. You can see that. He's being told where to go. Meghan Markle is being ushered to go elsewhere. But then she ends up here. Because they don't show her, basically ignoring, they don't show the fight that happened, that Meghan refused to go to the stand to wait for Harry to finishing inspecting the thing. And then she was supposed to meet him at, but my whole thing of this is like, why do they lie? And every news in the world play the first clip that I showed you.
Yeah, well,
I'm like, why do they do that? I mean, and you know what? I kept those clips because you can't find them anywhere now. They do this cleanup on the
Always.
internet, and now now I'm like, I have to really question every freaking clip I see put out there about anything. This
Everything.
is the BBC, CBS, everybody, CNN, everybody.
If you're sensible, you do question absolutely everything because all they do is lie now. All they do is lie. And this is what I'm saying. Like, it's what's caused all the problems because they've got this staggering arrogance now where they think they can just make you believe anything. The powers that be now think they can make you believe up is down and left is right. They think if we just get the BBC and CNN and Silicon Valley to close ranks and just pump this narrative, we can get them to believe anything. Anything. And it's why the world's changed, because at least back in the old days when they just had newspapers and radios, people would like talk. You'd see things in public. You'd write a letter to your local newspaper and say, well, I saw this. Now they think they can control the narrative completely, so they'll lie about anything. There's nothing they won't lie about. As I said, do you remember the Hunter Biden laptop? Like, they just spent a year telling everybody the whole thing was fake. Oh, it's fake. It doesn't exist.
They vilified anybody. And even before Elon Musk bought Twitter, you were not allowed to talk about it on Twitter.
You weren't allowed? No, I got banned. I got banned for talking about it.
You did. Well, you got banned a lot.
YouTube banned me for 2 weeks after the Trump election because I shared a Time magazine article where they were gloating. They couldn't help but gloat about it. And the article was something like, this is the broad coalition that helped defeat Donald Trump. And they were just gloating, saying, this is how we did it. And when I read the article verbatim on my YouTube channel, they instantly banned my account for 2 weeks. So
I
I'm
did.
saying
It
the
happened
thing,
to me. It happened to
yeah,
me. And guess why it happened to me too, Matthew? It happened because I read the article with Virginia Roberts where she, when she was suing Andrew, right?
yeah,
And then she said this is every article in the world. That's the only strike I've had.
mm,
Every article in the world, every newspaper was saying that Virginia Giuffre was gonna depose, have Meghan Markle, Prince Charles, he was prince back then, and Fergie in her court case, that she was deposing them because she said that Meghan Markle had a long-standing friendship with Andrew, and she had either seen things or heard things because she'd been around it. I kid you not, I was so careful about reading that article, and then
and they
and then
still
I
got you.
showed and then I showed 4 pictures of Meghan Markle with Ron Burkle, the owner of Soho House, because you can't find them anywhere. I managed to find them because I found this website and I paid about $80 for the 4 pictures because they're for sale, and you can't show them in most countries. And
Got
then
you.
so yeah, so I posted the 4 pictures of Meghan Markle sitting on Ron Burkle's lap. The other one, they were like on a yacht. The other one, and then suddenly I posted it. I was very careful. I didn't say this and that. Suddenly I got like within 4 or 5 hours, I got an email. I wasn't even, it wasn't even a warning, take it down, for conspiracy theories. And this is just me reading. I can show it to you. I mean, reading an article. I fought it like hell, but they still said no. Because they're like, where am I lying? I said, I can show that the pictures are real. This is not me making things up. This is
Yeah,
reading about a person who's suing Andrew and who's going to depose Meghan, Charles,
yeah,
and Fergie.
yeah. They don't care about the truth. That's what I'm saying. They don't care. What about the fact that whenever they do anything and you appeal it, they just ignore your appeal? Like if they ban you for some arbitrary reason and you say, yeah, but this is irrational, X, Y, and Z, they just ignore you. They just ignore you. It just disappears into the ether. And it's the same when they outright lie. If they outright lie for a week and the damage is done, and then somebody like Farage comes out and says, yeah, but this is why you're lying, look, A, B, C, D, they just don't platform him and they don't talk about it. So the public
Yeah,
just remembers the lies. And
yeah.
then they lie by omission. I told you, the most blatant one I've ever seen, ever, most ludicrous, published by CNN, was this black woman during the Black Lives Matter
Matter.
riots, and she goes on television, and I kid you not, it's on YouTube, you can see it. She goes, "Don't come around here smashing things up. Go to the white neighborhoods and burn their shit down." Right?
Oh, I remember that.
And they cut it in half. So when she goes, "Don't smash things around here," then it cuts off and it goes back to the newsroom and they go, and there she is with a plea for peace. I was like, a plea for peace? She wasn't saying don't smash things up. She literally said, go to the white neighborhoods, burn their
Yeah,
shit
I
down.
remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, that is how blatant they are. And they reported that as a plea for peace. Like literally telling you to go and murder people and burn their houses down. And the CNN sold it as a plea for peace. It's like, that's how blatant they are.
But it's actually quite disgusting, like I was so, because you do wonder. You have to wonder, can we believe what they're showing us? I mean, if they're
No.
putting to life for Meghan Markle, of all things, Rachel Meghan Markle, a D-list unemployed mattress actress. I mean, no, I'm serious. If they're willing to lie about that, something
What did
that
you,
stupid.
what did you call it? An unemployed D-list what? Mattress actress.
Yeah, she's an unemployed D-list mattress actress who
What's a
thinks,
mattress actress?
those women who sleep with men.
Is that a mattress actress? Oh,
Yeah,
I thought that's what it might mean. I've never heard the term, but I thought, yeah, mattress actress.
she's an
So that's when you
unemployed,
shag you into roles. Yeah,
yeah,
shag you
who
into
thinks that
roles.
couch casting is a decent
Oh,
sport.
you know what that reminds me of? Did you
Uh,
ever see? You might not remember this one. This is a bit longer ago. Do you remember an event called the Fappening? Have you ever heard of the Fappening?
no.
So this will make you laugh, right? So like modern slang for a man masturbating is fapping, because they say it makes the fap like fapping. So you could say fapping is a man masturbating. So they called the event the Fappening, and it's when someone leaked shitloads of documents of images stolen from like
What's
hundreds of
happening?
actresses for the Fappening instead of the happening. And they call it the Fappening, right? And it's because they leaked all of these obscene photos from actresses where the phones have been stolen or hacked, and they
Mhm.
had a lot of them had dirty pictures on.
Oh,
And
wow.
some of those fappening pictures, one of them was Jennifer Lawrence,
Are you
because they
kidding?
reckon Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, it's very obscene, but I'll just say she was no clothes on with a certain substance scattered across her face. We'll just say that, right.
So the
And
fappening ended
the
after the
fappening,
fappening ended.
the fappening
That's
finished, and
yeah.
everyone started going through the photos. When the lads had the fun for a couple of weeks, then everyone started going through the photos, and they were saying how they reckon Jennifer Lawrence was getting shagged by Harvey Weinstein,
Yeah, it is
basically.
true. Yeah. That's
So
what
and
they
so
say.
so I've seen the pictures. I've seen that is definitely a thing. So that is a fantastic way of describing the mattress actresses, because that's what they do. They shag
Yeah.
the web ladder. And you know, this
You
is
didn't
another
know
thing where I
about this?
keep
I
saying
feel so proud that I taught you
I've never
something.
heard the term mattress actress.
Mattress
I
actress, are you
guessed what
kidding?
it meant.
That's a whole thing. I'll send it to you so you remember. She's an
Yeah,
unemployed D-list mattress actress who thinks that
yeah,
couch casting is a sport, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah,
So,
so I guess what it meant, because like back in England, you'll say if a woman's pretty slutty, you'll say she should have a mattress strapped to her back,
oh my
or
God.
she should have handlebars on her hips, because everybody's had a ride, right? And that's why it's funny to me, because I always say how it's the most immoral people are always the ones who accuse everybody else, because they think it's like a smokescreen. So the ones who call everybody else fascist are usually fascists. The one
Yeah.
who calls everybody else Nazis are usually Nazis. These lunatics. This is why I actually think this whole Me Too movement, if you really get into the weeds on it,
Mhm.
is deeply immoral, because it's more of
Yeah.
the same thing, right? They've proved that thousands of men were unfairly accused and committed suicide. Sitting MPs in England, there was a Welsh Labour politician who committed suicide after being falsely accused. And the reason they did it is because they were all mattress actresses. The ones who have claimed to be victims used it for their own personal game. Rose McGowan was told, if you shag Harvey Weinstein, he'll put you in a 4-movie deal and you'll make millions of dollars. So she went, yep, yep. You'd have to fight her for Weinstein's cock. She was loving it, because she was like, get in, I can make millions and millions of dollars. These women were obsessed with money and power and fame.
But she was the one who came out speaking the worst afterwards. She's the one that came out, and I guess he didn't fulfill his end of the bargain.
Yeah, no, exactly. But what I'm saying is, this is why it's so immoral, right? Virtuous women, real women, not actresses, people like you or my missus, they would just say no. If my missus wanted to be in a film and the director said, well, suck us off and I'll put you in it, she'd just be like, no. And then she'd ring the police.
It's so gross.
And then
It's
she'd
so
ring the
gross.
police. But what
And you know
these
he
all
did it
did,
with so many women. He did that with so many women, and now they all. It's like they all knew about it. You know.
but this is what I'm saying, Meryl Streep, all of those A-list actresses, Ashley Judd, all of them. This is what I'm saying. They are deeply immoral, because what they did was they took the money, millions of dollars, the power, the fame, and then they waited 20 years. So the career's all finished with, and now no one wants to put them in a film because they're all in the 50s. And they let him molest and rape and abuse thousands and thousands of women over a 20-year period. And then they come out and they go, oh, look how good a person I am. I'm coming out with this to tell everyone and warn all the other girls.
Oh, wait a minute.
You got
Oprah
the
never called him
girls.
out. Oprah never called Harvey Weinstein. She said she supported the Me Too movement, but she refused to call out Harvey.
They're all in on it. This is what I'm saying. So the ones who are saying how moral they are the most immoral people. If it was a normal woman like you or my missus, the next day she'd have went to the police and Harvey Weinstein would be arrested that night. But all of these women took the money and the power and the fame for decades, and then at the end of it went, look how moral we are. No, you're not moral. You're deeply immoral. If you're a woman who actually does get sexually assaulted by a man, and you keep your mouth shut for 25 years because you want the money, every single woman that he victimized after you played a
It's on
part
you.
in it.
It's on you.
You played a part in it. So all these ones, Meryl Streep and Oprah Winfrey and all the rest of them, and me again, Marty ass, the mattress-backed yo-yo knickered slapper that she is, are the most immoral people, self-serving scum. They do everything they do for their own power and fame and wealth. And then at the end of it, they get a little prickle of the conscience, so they go, actually, I'm much more moral than Paula and Matt and all of you normal people who'd call the police on a rapist. No, I'm a better person than you. And it's nonsense. It's like everything else. They are exactly what they accuse you of.
And the only
These
reason
people
why
are
they come out, the
reprehensible.
only reason why they're forced to come out, if they can see that they can't stop the news from coming out, and they want to jump on top of that. Christine Parker, by the way, Meryl Streep, yes, everybody in Hollywood,
All of
everybody,
them.
because all of
Meryl
them
Streep.
said that they knew.
All of them know.
All of them, and they treated Harvey
All
like,
of them.
because they thought that as long as he did that to lesser known actresses, it was okay. The
Yeah,
only
it was
time he
fine.
actually got in trouble is when he tried to do that to Gwyneth Paltrow, who was dating Brad Pitt, and Gwyneth Paltrow ran to Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt confronted Harvey. But Matt Damon, everybody, they've known about this for years. In fact,
All of them.
yeah,
They're
in
all
fact,
scum.
Meryl Streep owns. She's gotten quite a few Oscars thanks to Harvey Weinstein and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah, and
so
you see the footage where she calls him God, and
God,
the whole
yes,
room laughs. Everyone in that room knows he's a multiple rapist, and everyone in the room laughs. Oh
yeah,
God, we wouldn't laugh if that was in my local working men's club. You know, the working class scum that they all rubbish all the time, the normal people. If that was in my local working men's club and Harvey Weinstein got on the stage, they'd probably try and murder him because we have a strong moral compass. But that entire room full of degenerates applauded and chuckled and laughed at all his jokes when they knew he was a multiple rapist. So this is the point I keep telling you. Do not let these people talk down to you. Any of these people who are rich, famous, actors, singers, they're all vermin. And they talk about people like you and me as if we're the bad guys. I will not have it. I will not have it. When they talk down about working class people, normal people, the type
yeah.
of people who wouldn't suck an old man's balls and would go to the police about it the same day, they talk down to us. Like, I will not tolerate it. I'm like, I'm
They
a better
vilify
person
you.
than you.
They vilify you because how dare you not suck his balls? How dare
Yeah.
you?
How dare you not
And
hum
how
the
dare
national
you?
anthem with Harvey
Yeah,
Weinstein's
yeah.
balls in your mouth?
Yeah, and
Like,
I wanted to ask you something. Just to keep it a little bit lighter and to keep stay on the algorithm. What do you think of? Did you watch Catherine come on TV for the trooping the color? I know you said you've done with the royal family because of Charles and stuff like that.
yeah.
But what do you think of her coming on the trooping the color? I mean, you know what really bothered me to no end? We know that this woman has cancer. And even though we are all in agreement that this lady has the best of everything, but it doesn't stop you. All the money in the world won't stop you from feeling like crap after you get chemotherapy. You may have all the comforts and everything in the world, but you would still, as soon as you take the chemo, nobody can feel for you. You know, you can't say, okay, I'm going to take the chemo, but you get the side effects. You know, you feel the side effects for me. So
Yeah.
this lady clearly is got cancer, which is must be emotionally heavy for her head and whatever. Two, she's taking chemo, which makes her lose weight. You are kind of aware of that because of, you know, you have, you know,
Yeah, I've
somebody
seen it.
around you. You've seen it, and I have seen it too.
Yeah.
But and the first thing I hear Piers Morgan saying, "Don't you think she looked a bit thin? Does she still have her whole hair?" You know how
Piers
you know
Morgan's
how
just
offensive
scum.
it is, like, because it's like, oh, do you think she's bald enough when you see somebody with cancer? Oh, don't you think she's a little bit bald? You know, don't you think? I mean, the
They're just
fact,
scum.
yeah, and I'm not
Scum.
saying we can comment on her appearance or anything, but that was like, you know, to me, and I may be off here. I'm not a royalist, you know that. But I was thinking, it's like if you see somebody who's going through chemotherapy and they have lost their hair, and you go, oh, don't you think she's a little bit bald? Don't you think that she's, you know, looking too thin? It's like, and I'm thinking, um,
Again, right? You know why it's so offensive? Children know this is wrong. There was a kid in my school when I was about 11 or 12 who had to have chemo. So she had like cancer or whatever it was. And I remember when she came back to school with very short hair, wearing a hat, everyone was super nice to her and no one commented on appearance because you know it's not the done thing.
yeah,
If I knew the right from wrong when I was 11 years old, as if a human toilet like Piers Morgan doesn't know what the crack is. Piers Morgan is detestable. By their actions shall ye judge them. And this is what I'm saying. I don't let them talk down to me, and I'm happy to judge them. Piers Morgan is just scum. I've always had this anthropocentric worldview where I've always said, because I'm not religious, so I've always just tried to use logic to make my moral compass and make my worldview. And I've always said my opinion on things like euthanasia and abortion and stuff formulated by the scientific worldview, and I base it off the capacity to suffer. So, like, to me, if you see like a dog drowning or a child drowning, it's terrible. But if you can only pick one, you pick the child, because I think the child and the child's mother have the capacity to suffer more than the animal does. So if you
Yeah,
could only pick one, this is where you try and
yeah.
balance things with logic. And Piers Morgan is the only creature that has made me question it, because if Piers Morgan fell in a lake and there was a rat drowning alongside him, I think I'd jump in and save the rat. I'd save the rat, and I'd start pulling shopping trolleys and trash out of the river rather than Piers Morgan, because I think the man is reprehensible. You don't mock someone's appearance when they're going through a cancer
You know
battle.
what's the worst part of it all? That he tries to make it look like, oh, but I'm not talking about her. No, it's like he wants to hide that comment. Oh, it's a compliment. We know, I'm not trashing her. You are.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like you would not, like you said, you would not see somebody who's going through chemotherapy and they lost her hair or whatever. You're not gonna say, ah, she looked a little bit bald, or don't you think that
uh,
she's throwing a little bit too much? Like clearly she looked gaunt. I mean,
yeah,
the lady,
because she's got
and
cancer.
yeah, and then everybody in the panel, oh well, she's not waiting on the NHS. It's irrelevant. This is a
Irrelevant.
woman
Yeah,
who got up that morning, tried to put on a good face because I think that the only reason she came is because her kids were going to be there and she knew that her kids were going to need her. So she was being a mom first and foremost.
yeah.
And secondly, she knew it takes a lot of, I'm going to say it, a lot of ovaries knowing, because this lady knows that every camera in the world will be scrutinizing every little thing about her. And yet she still got up and went and did it. And the first thing we have Piers Morgan. Oh, I think don't you think she's thin? Don't you think, oh, does she have her whole hair? It's like,
Yeah, the
you
scum,
know
aren't
what?
they? They're just scum.
Oh, why do you care if she has her hair? Just, I felt sick. I really felt bad about that, because
You're preaching to the converted, because I hate him and I've always hated him. But as I said, that is just something that a child knows. You don't criticize people in that situation. That proves these people are ideologues that I keep talking about. They're just brainwashed zealots, because they can't turn it off for a second. When you hear about a young woman getting cancer, if your first thing is to say something like, "Oh yeah, but she doesn't have to wait for the NHS," you're just a bad person. You're a political ideologue that's obsessed with pushing a political narrative instead of just having basic human empathy. Like, I've got a lot less money than Kate, but it doesn't mean the first thing I think of when I find out about a young woman with cancer isn't, oh, I don't know, I feel sorry for her and her family, because I know what it's like to have cancer in the family. And any normal human does, if you have a basic functioning brain. The fact that the first thing to do is go, oh yeah, well, she doesn't have to wait for the NHS, is just,
yeah,
it
those
just
women
tells
were.
you a lot about them.
But the worst part of it all is the way they say it. It's like, it's like I've always used this as a compliment. Oh my God, Matt, you're so brave wearing that T-shirt. It's like, you don't know if that fucking thing is a compliment, because what do you mean I'm brave? Like,
Yeah,
it's
well, it's like
those kind of things that
women who
they're
do
trying.
amazing
Yeah,
to
it's like they're
two-faced
taking a
compliments,
tone of
right?
voice. It's like, oh my God, you're such an asshole. But the tone of voice is deceiving, so you don't know because. And I was sat at that panel, and he had these three women, and they're, oh well, she has the best doctors in the world. I can guarantee you guys, no matter how best you have, having cancer, the thing with your health is nobody. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or a million. Look at Steve Jobs. Can we admit that this guy, look how when your health is affected, nobody, you can get good care but not health. Nobody can buy you health. You can buy good care for whatever it is you have, but that's not guaranteed that you're gonna survive. Your
Well,
health is your health.
I always talk about old adages, and I love old adages because, sorry, old adages. It's my accent. Old adages are wisdom from the ages, right? And one of the oldest one that everybody knows is, as long as you've got your health. Everybody knows that. You're a rich person as
As
long as
long
you've got
as
your
you
health. So if the first thing you think of, it doesn't matter whether you're a king, a prince, or a pauper, if you get cancer, you're in trouble and you're going to feel real emotional trauma. And if your first thing is to not instantly empathize with them and just think, I feel bad for this person, you're just an awful human being. And as I keep telling you, and that's why these people are obsessed with calling everybody names, because they are the worst people imaginable. That's why they're obsessed with saying everyone else is a bad person. I'm virtuous. I'm moral. I'm a good person. Oh, I can't believe she doesn't have to wear fairy chest. It's because they're awful people. They're just awful people. I'm not a big fan of the royal family, but
I know.
the first thing I think of when someone's
Well,
got
but
cancer
just
is
let me
the
recap a
poor
little bit.
bastard.
Matt was a monarchist, but he didn't like the red painting from Charles. But I agree with you.
That just tipped me over the edge. That was one of many,
That
many
was the
things.
last drop that needed to get him over the glass, that the whole glass spilled. But I would just want,
Yeah.
it's like right now, that they went to see Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift and the palace posted a picture with Princess Charlotte, George, and, everybody now they're all mocking Princess Charlotte's teeth. She's just like 7 years of age. Her teeth are not even there, but they're body shaming her. This little girl,
I know.
who's
It's
like
mad.
7 years of age. Just look at her teeth; they're all disgusting. She looks like horse teeth, and I'm like,
Yeah.
are we here? In which, you know what, Matt? Sometimes I wonder.
That's the tolerant left for you. The tolerant, progressive, nice people. Body shaming a child. Same with Trump. They're like, oh, we're good people, we're nice people. But as soon as Trump's son turns up, they're like, oh, look at that freak. It's like, okay, yeah, you're nice people. Of course you are.
Yeah,
It's just
It's just
painful.
they become enemies of everybody, haven't they? It's just terrible. And talking about something, I just want to say, because this is actually, we both hate this individual. I'm going to play a little bit of this, guys, because I think this is important. I mean, I can't help myself. I sent you that clip because I really can't understand how this man is not banned and we are. Look,
Oh,
look,
God.
guys. Yeah.
Oh, no, not him.
Is to disrespect your elders. So if you're
Okay. So just so people know, he's talking here. Lefty's losing it. How to disrespect? He's talking about. Let me share. I'm going to start it from the beginning, because I want you to be on the lookout for this man. Okay.
And now it's time for Lefties Losing It. And one of our favourite trans activists is back. Let's hear what wonderful advice Jeffrey Marsh is imparting now.
3 ways to disrespect your elders. So if you're dealing with a narcissistic parent or a bullying boss at work, you need to 1, play innocent. There's some sort of secret code or language they're using to try to get you to do what they want. And all you need to do is
We're just starting with the first one here. First of all, if you ever see a man, yes, and I'm using the word man, come giving you this, dressed like this, looking like this, and give children, because these are the things that he's imparting right now are advice to children, and he's telling them to disrespect the elderly, not to listen to them, not to
You know why he's saying that? Because he knows that a normal parent will go, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to a party around Jeffrey Marsh's house. I don't think that's a good idea. He wants you to not agree with your parents because they'll give you advice. Don't go around the pedo's house.
We will keep you away from this man. So this is why. And let's
ask, what do you mean? I don't get it. Could you explain that? Be innocent. Number 2, feel no guilt.
That's about all I can stomach, but I know some of you are desperate to know the third way you can disrespect your elders.
Number 3, limit contact. Don't do extra. Don't go above and beyond.
He really does give the worst advice. Let's just look how overjoyed old mate Jeffrey is when he hears trans activists have damaged J.K. Rowling's reputation.
Hi, you won against Ms. Rowling. Now, it hasn't quite happened yet, and this is conjecture and rumor, but Warner Brothers has been trying to buy the Harry Potter.
Guys, I mean, I'm not going to put you through everything like this, but because this is absolutely disgusting. He is a skank. Guys, I use that term a lot. I use that term, and people think that it's only for Meghan Markle. No. This goes to any human being who behaves like a skank. And I would think he's a skank. I'm sorry. And he's a man skank. He's a man skank. I don't know. But I mean.
Man bitch. I tell you what, I can't stomach him. He's just a total oxygen thief. Anyway, I'm gonna have to go. I've been here an
No, no,
hour,
no,
and I saw my missus.
no. I just want to say thank you guys. But anyway, just go if you want. I'm just going to wrap it up. But we have to do this again. You have to come at least once a month to the channel, and you have to allocate at least an hour and a half because we have so many topics. I wanted to talk to you about something about the elections and stuff, but we have to do it again sometime. But
Yeah,
thank
well,
you
my
guys.
wife's got friends in town. That's why I'm buggering off early. But yeah, give it a few weeks. Give it a few weeks. We'll do it again. As long as you don't show me a Jeffrey Marsh video every week, I'll come back. I hate
It's
him.
just this time. Thank you so much, Matthew. Thanks
See you
so
later.
much.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Bye. So yes, beautiful people, go subscribe to Matt. I'm just gonna keep doing a little bit of a live with you guys because I have so much to say. You know, like it is unbelievable. It is unbelievable, guys, that they're mocking Princess Charlotte. I saw something in the comment too, and I'm like, are we really there? Is this? You know what? I get a lot of flack on my channel because whenever I ask for the Meghan Markle's children's documents to ensure that they belong in the line of succession, I get a lot of people saying to me, leave the children alone. I have never commented in their appearance, nor will I ever comment in their appearance, because if they exist, they are children. Okay, so but please go subscribe to Matt, and don't forget to subscribe to my Spanish channel, guys. I left it on the pinned comment. Yes, I need you guys to go subscribe. I need to get 2,000 of you there. but we have never, at least in my channel, I cannot speak for other people's channels, asking where or why this person, where are those documents? Where are those documents, guys? Where are those? And you know what? I'm going to talk a little bit about the maid interview because I know you guys have talked about it. You know that somebody sent me, you know that in the first interview, the maid said that, because I asked her what her routine day was, right? And she says, well, you know, it's if we're about to rent the house, then, you know, I get the list and we go through the list when people come in and then to clean it up after they leave. Oh, and I know some other YouTubers say, oh, they don't rent it and stuff like that. So somebody sent me this article. I'm going to see if I can find it here. I know I can find it. Just one second. Give me a second here. Yes, I sent it to Ron, I believe. Let me see. Somebody sent me this article. And then I went and verified this. It says here, exclusive, Meghan and Harry Montecito's mansion is listed for rent at $700 an hour for photo and music video shoots by home rental site featuring never before seen. This, and then it said that this is in October, guys. This is mid-October, and Harry and Meghan moved in supposedly at the end of mid-May into that mansion. So this is in October 2020. So they've had quite a few months, and apparently they were renting the house out. But when the Daily Mail published this, they took it down, like about a week after, they took it down. Okay. But it's isn't it amazing? I want to thank the person who sent it to me, Madeline. Thank you very much for sending me this, because you know the maid said that's what they did, you know, and she didn't say. I just asked, once you ask somebody, a person, what it is that what they do. But this is interesting because I didn't know. And then what they said, the excuse they gave is, oh well, they forgot, this company forgot to take the thing off the market, like for rent of the market. But that is not the case. I did a little bit of digging, and they it's not that they didn't forget. Harry and Meghan Markle listed the house for rent with them in another agency. Okay, so it is absolutely unbelievable. Like, so the maid was telling the truth, you know. That I felt good, you know, after I watched this, because I read this, because she was telling the truth. She got to clean up after people left and they were renting, and this is why Harry and Meghan Markle haven't changed any parts of the furniture. They don't have any money to restore or make money or buy furniture. Everything, they haven't changed anything. So the maid was right. The maid said that they were in the other part of the mansion because they have like a second studio. They have like some rooms and stuff. So they rent the other stuff of the house, and so not the entire house, but part of the house. So isn't that amazing? I love Miss Garfield. So that was pretty cool. And I want to thank those of you guys, because you guys send me stuff, you know, and I want to thank you guys for sending this, because, yep, now we know that the lady was not lying. The lady was not lying, and I'm glad, that. And I wonder if things are going to start coming out more often now. And with that clip that I showed you, when Meghan Markle actually in Morocco, we have to question every clip that we see now. Every clip that we see. What is the question that Brenda? Yes, that's what the lady said. That's what the lady said, that they rent part of the mansion. Please go listen to the first interview, the maid interview I did. Let me see if I can. Let me see, because you guys know I'm not a how you call it. I'm not a very I'm gonna post the link here, guys. So for you guys to go see, where is that? Let me see. No, here's the maid. Let me see. Let me see if I can get a link for you to go check that out. Here, I'm going to post it on the chat, guys, so you can go check that, because the lady says that it was only part of it at the beginning. She said that they used to allow sometimes to cook in the house, but then it got too complicated and they stopped lending they stopped allowing to cook in the kitchen. I left the link here. So yeah, I mean, now things really do make sense. But the thing that they're attacking Princess Charlotte, how old is she, guys? Is she 7? Please let me know in the chat if she's 7. If she's 7. And they're trying to mock a little girl, because probably she's still, I remember, my teeth, you lose teeth and you get your real teeth, but such a beautiful smile. That's a real child smile, a little beautiful lady, somebody who's, full of confidence. But it's actually quite terrible. She's 8 years old. Yeah, I think Prince George is 2 years older, or 3. He's going to be 10, or he's 10, and she's 7 going on 8. But it is incredible, isn't it? I am beyond the pale with that thing. And now that Meghan Markle wants to have a little bit of wine, she's going to do a wine. What is she going to call it? What is she going to call it? The Soho Ho? The Soho Ho? Because it is insane, guys. I mean, I don't even know why. And that's what really bothers me, because I don't understand how these people don't get censored. I really don't. Like we get let me see. Oh my God. Let me see. Oh my God. I'm just gonna we're gonna go to the click here with Megan Small, because I want to show you something, guys. Christopher Bosie, who is a moron. Yes, he's a moron. And the reason why if you notice in my channel, sorry, there's somebody outside. We have those things that they come by the house. That because he started picking on me mid-March. He said that I threatened Meghan Markle and stuff like that. This is Megan Small. Tell me you don't even leave your house without telling me you don't leave your house. Harry and Meghan's mouthpiece with a face like a prolapse anus. Christopher Bosie is incredibly stupid. Here we go. He's basically saying that Princess Catherine took those pictures like that. Where would Meghan Markle be today if it weren't for Thomas Markle Sr. using his connections and finances? Doria, Cell Block 6 ragline, never paid a penny towards Meghan's education. Yeah, but she's reaping the benefits. Let me see. Let's go to Megan Small here. Yeah, she's such a loser, and this is, they're talking about that, and we're talking about this. But I just want to see. This is the little girl that people are mocking. This beautiful little girl is being mocked and trashed because of her smile. Brendan, the maid doesn't know who owns the house because she never saw the deeds to the house. She assumes that they're Harry and Meghan's, but she doesn't know who belongs. But I think that the house was bought in the name of Archwell, So yes, so this is where we are right now, guys. This is the little girl that people, the Sussex squad, is mocking. And whenever they come at me saying that to leave the Sussex children, I mean, do you know that where is Kate Tag? Where are those kids? Where are those kids? These 2 children are beautiful. They're gorgeous. They're healthy. They're happy, most of all. you know, and his father and their father looks really, really proud, you know. So yeah, and let's not forget that Harry has never come out to call out or call off the Sussex Squad that he set on his brother and his sister-in-law. Okay, it is absolutely disgusting, absolutely disgusting. So anyways, I'm gonna leave you guys. It's Sunday. I know you have other lives to go to. Mine is boring for you guys. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, and thank you very much, guys. I'll see you on Wednesday for a live, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be posting a video. So have a wonderful Sunday, beautiful people, and don't forget to subscribe to my Spanish channel and to Matt the Angry Bootnik. Go show him some love. We need to get him to 100,000 views.